Hey everybody, welcome back to myandybuck.com, and I am here today with somebody who is pretty special to me. This is my wife, Shelly, and Shelly is a special guest on myandybuck.com because she is actually a technician recruiter for Automax recruiting and training. It's a extremely tough position to have, trying to find technicians. If you work at a dealership, you know how difficult it is to get technicians and to have them stay. And so I felt like interviewing Shelly from a firsthand experience as a recruiter would be very valuable to you all. So thank you, Shelly. Thanks for being on.
Thanks.
So let me ask you a question. What do you like about this career? What do you like about automotive technician recruiting?
I guess what I like most is being able to help people. And in this job, I get to help people on both sides. I get to help the dealer do something that is very difficult and they don't have a lot of time for, and it makes their life easier. And in the process, I'm helping technicians get jobs and change their lives for the better.
Wow. I mean, it really is a life-changing thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with me, going out and doing sales recruiting, I get to see it firsthand when sales people get hired on in a dealership and how excited they are and thrilled, quite frankly, to be able to serve at a dealership. And you get a lot the same thing, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So tell me about your favorite hire. We all have that. We all have that one that sticks out in our heads. And tell me about your favorite hire.
There are a few hires that I have worked hard for. But one in particular, there was a dealer that they had told me that they were going to be pursuing a technician and that they were going to be making him an offer. So, I waited for like a week to check in on them and see how that was going. And the technician was not answering me back. And the dealer was not answering either. I wasn't getting an answer on either side as far as where they were on this hire. So finally I picked up the phone and I called the dealer and I found out that they had reached out to the technician and they just had not heard back from him. And so they assumed he was just not interested in the job because they hadn't heard back. And in a lot of cases, we just kind of let it go. But I just felt like it was worth reaching out to that candidate to see what was going on. Okay. So I called him, he did not answer. So finally I texted him and basically said, this dealership is still very interested in you. Why are you not answering back? If you're no longer interested, I understand, but it may be something I can help you with. And they did reach back out and they said that it was basically the money was keeping them from moving on, because where they were, even though they were unhappy where they were, they didn't want to take a pay cut. And that's understandable. It's one thing to want more money that isn't warranted, but to take a pay cut is kind of tough. You have bills to pay. So at that point, I kind of talked to them to find out why, and was able to reach back out to the dealer and say, hey, I talked to them and it's the money, and they said, well, what are they expecting? And I kind of was able to go back and forth between them.
Mediate.
And was able to make that happen, and they ended up hiring him. It was really cool to be a part of that.
That's awesome. And obviously he wanted to be part of that culture. He wanted to be part of that dealership. He just couldn't take a pay cut to do it.
Right. He has to pay his bills. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So why do you think it's so hard to get automotive technicians? What's so special about this particular thing that it makes it so difficult?
Well, a few things. There is a shortage of technicians, and a lot of times the tools that dealerships are using to find them is not the best way to go about finding technicians. It's also, it's a big deal for most technicians to move from one dealership to another, because they need to make it worth their while, because they have to move their toolbox. And a lot of people don't realize that that's costly,
very expensive,
and time consuming.
Yeah.
So it really needs to be worth their while to move, even if they're unhappy. the process of moving, you need to give them some kind of reason to make it worth their while.
Because there's really only two ways to get technicians in there.
Yes.
I mean, one way is to get them from another dealership that have been trained and they're at some place and they're not happy. And of course, the other way is just to grow them from a lube tech standpoint. I served 26 years in the automotive industry, and as my last run was as a general manager, and I can tell you that it's very difficult. You guys already know that it's really difficult to get technicians to come over, and the best way to do is to grow them from a lube tech. However, that takes time, and sometimes you don't have that time.
And it takes money,
Yeah.
and you're always taking the chance that person will leave also. So it's worthwhile.
Right.
But either way, there are challenges.
So on that note, so let's say, Shelly, that you spend all this time and you get these people trained up from a lube tech, and they've moved up and now they're in a tech, okay? And you don't want them to go someplace else. Or let's say you're trying to attract technicians to your shop that because you need some experienced technicians and you're trying to attract them. What is it that appeals to technicians? What are some of the things that you're seeing that really makes technicians go, yeah, I might consider that?
I can tell you, it's they do want to know the pay, and that is important to them. But what's interesting to me is that the most important thing seems to be across the board: time off.
Really?
These guys, they work hard. Their job is physically demanding, and they value that time off with friends and family. And I have one dealership that offered a 4-day work week, and even though the days were a little longer, they really loved having those 3 days off. And then pay is also, you need to be competitive in that stance also. But another thing to think about that I find kind of interesting is I've had a few technicians reach out to me and ask me if we have any dealerships that are offering midnight hours. And we don't have any at this point right now that are offering that. But the reason they like that is because they can work without customers there. It's a peaceful environment. They can get their work done and focus. And they feel like they can turn more hours working midnights than they can during the day because of the lack of interruptions. And I was thinking about that and thinking how cool that would be from the standpoint of a car owner taking my car in to get it serviced. How cool would it be that, a lot of times you drop your car off and you have to get to work, or you have to run errands, or you have things that you need to do, and you're trying to figure out how to get there. How cool would it be to be able to drop your car off in the evening after work, go home, you wake up in the morning and go pick up your car and have the rest of your day. So that is something that I don't know that a lot of dealerships have considered that I think would be a good idea.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, it'd be really great for traffic. They wouldn't be running into traffic because they wouldn't be at rush hour traffic going home at night. And honestly, that shop is sitting there, whether it's making money or not, whether anybody's in it or not, it's sitting there, right?
Yeah.
So, and guys, if you're in the car business, that those bays, each one of those bays costs you money. It should be able to turn 40 hours. So, let me ask you a question though. You've been working for Automax for some time, and my question to you would be, what makes Automax so special? What makes the company of Automax so special to you?
Automax is like a great big family, and it starts at the top with Craig, and I think that because of the person that Craig is, it trickles down into the company. I mean, he is the most caring individual. He cares about people. He wants to help people. Anybody who needs anything can walk into him. He would give you the shirt off his back. And he loves his employees so much. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't get angry if you're doing things wrong, but that's like any father, right?
Yeah.
But he takes care of all of us, and if we're doing good, he wants to reward us for that, and he cares when we're hurting. He cares, and he wants to help us. And then you also have Ernie and Joe, and they are both very in touch with their employees and their feelings and knowing what's going on with them. And when we are struggling with a campaign or with something going on, they're there to help, and they're very good at their job. So, and then, all the girls that I get to work with are amazing. They're just all amazing. I love them all. So it's just a great company.
It is a good crew. I'll tell you, as a contractor with Automax, I'm not directly employed by them where Shelly is. And they treat the trainers the exact same way. They really do care about every single one of us. It doesn't matter what our role is. They want to make sure that we're taken care of, that we're happy. And we work together to try to make Automax better. Every single one of us, they care about our opinions, don't they? Mm-hmm. And that's a huge thing when it comes to culture in a dealer or in a company of any kind. But at the dealerships, we try to emulate what we are professing that is important. Mm-hmm. So that's a really important thing. So let me ask you this: in your opinion, how do you have so much success recruiting technicians? When, I'm a dealership, I'm the one with the building, I'm the one with the bays, I'm the one with the work, I'm the one with the cars. How do you, because I hear it all the time from the dealers that you actually interact with, where they'll tell me, Andy, I'm so glad that I signed up with you guys because, you're getting me people and I don't even know where you're getting these people. How do you get such great people? So why is it, in your opinion, that you can have so much success when a dealership who's been doing this for 30, 40, 50 years can't? What's the secret? What is it?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's a lot like that commercial with the dog with
Bushes.
The Bush's baked beans. It's a secret recipe. And Joe would kill me if I told you.
Nice.
But to be honest with you, it really is about time. And there's so many things involved in how we find these technicians, and obviously we have perfected that because we do find technicians, and lots of them for your dealership to look at. But I think it all boils down to time. These service managers, directors, and advisors, they just do not have time to go through the process of finding these people. They can put a sign out in the yard, they can run an ad, but then the people call in, they don't have time to get them scheduled. If they do get them scheduled, they forget that they're coming in. They're not prepared for them. When the people get there, they're busy with their job, trying to do their job. It's just, they just get frazzled and then they give up. And how are they going to find that time? Well, they need more mechanics, but they can't get more mechanics if they don't have more time. Mm-hmm. So, it's impossible for them to do what I do full-time when they're doing their full-time job. Mm-hmm. So it really is smart to have us do what we do well so that they can do what they do well.
Yeah, I run into that a lot of times on the sales campaigns, where I'll have dealers even say, how do you get so many good salespeople to come in, or so many good people to come in to want to work here, when we have trouble getting one or two. And really, it does just boil down to time. Because it's one of those situations where your service manager's time is better spent managing the service department and making you money than it is for that individual to go out and try to become an HR specialist and go recruit people. Also, it makes it very difficult if there happens to be a technician at another store that wants to come over. It's very difficult for your service manager to make direct contact with them without having that dealer call you up and say, "Hey, what's your service manager doing? We need our people." So it's a nice way to have a go-between in there. Mm-hmm. I've seen that happen so many times where a dealership will call the dealership and say, hey, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to take one of my people? And they say, I don't even know what you're talking about, because hey, you don't, because that's what Automax is doing. That's what Shelly's doing. She's trying to talk to that technician to see if they would consider making a move. So it's a very, very special thing that you do, and it's very important for a dealership to realize that that time is invaluable, and that if you put in, goodness gracious, I mean, of course I live with you, so I see how many hours you put in, but this young lady's probably working 50, 60 hours a week, truly, to get you technicians. There is no way that you could spend that amount of time to fill those positions for your store. Just absolutely impossible.
I love my job, so.
So yeah, well, and that shows. It shows. Sometimes I think you love it more than me.
That can't be true.
All right, so to kind of close this thing up a little bit, Shelly, if there was just one tip that you could give a dealership who's looking for technicians, if there's one tip that you could give them, what would that be?
I mean, probably just call us.
That's probably a good answer.
Really.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you could do, is just give us a call, give me a call, give Andy a call, give Automax a call. Let us do what we do best so that you can do what you do best.
Okay, so let me ask you this. That's great, and that's all well and good. Call Automax, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's great. But let me ask you this. If they call you, if they call me, and they set up a campaign and they want technicians, and they say, okay, we're going to step out on a limb, we're going to trust you, and we're going to let you take this over, what are some of the things that a dealership could do to ensure a successful campaign?
The most important thing is communication. Communication is everything. If you're not communicating with us, then we cannot find you people. So the first thing is, when are you available for interviews? If you say, Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, but then you're really not available past 4, and you're not going to be there when they get there. That's not helpful. We need to know when you're going to be there, and when you tell us those times and we schedule someone, you need to be there to hold that interview. I need to know that when I'm sending a candidate into you, I can trust that you're going to be there. The second thing is, in communication, is if we send people in and you're like, oh my gosh, these people stink, you need to let us know. You don't just say, oh, they're just sending in cruddy people. I'm not even gonna let them know that I'm not interested. I'm not hiring them, so I don't need to let them know. It's really important that you let us know. Tell us why that person didn't work out. It's gonna help us to hone in on that perfect candidate for you. That person that is the perfect technician for your shop, the perfect fit. Every time that you communicate with us, it lets us know how to get to that place where you have all the technicians you need and they're perfect for your shop.
Communication is a key, and along those same lines, because I've seen this happen with sales campaigns before too, and I'm sure you'll agree with this. It's really important also to, if you're a general manager or a dealer principal and you're hiring Automax for a sales campaign or for a technician recruiting campaign or any other position, because we hire for service managers, for parts managers, for sales managers, for general sales managers, even general managers. We joke about it and we say that we do lot techs to presidents, so we can really hire for any position. But it's important as a dealer principal or a general manager, if you have hired Automax to run a campaign for you, sales or service, that you have good conversation with your managers, that you help them to understand that you're doing this because you see the benefit in having us come in and do that and let them do what they do best. Because a lot of times what I'll see when I go in for a sales campaign, and I know you've seen it with a service campaign sometimes, there's not good communication. And sometimes the general manager or the dealer principal will say, well, because you can't do your job, I'm going to hire these people. And then what happens is when Shelly sets up an interview for a mechanic, and that person comes in to be interviewed, the service manager or service director already has a bit of a chip on their shoulder. And they're looking for reasons not to hire instead of reasons to hire. And I know that seems really odd. It seems counterproductive, but you know how we are. I mean, we're all that way. If you say, if you come to me and say, Andy, you can't do something, so I'm going to hire this person to do it, and you're going to interview those people. Well, I want those people to fail because I don't want it to look bad on me. So have the conversation with your managers that's a little bit more pleasant on the flip side of it, that is the truth, really. What you really mean is, hey, you do a really good job at what you do. You really do a great job as a service manager and a service director. I am very proud of you. We need technicians, and the only way that I know to do it is hire an outside company so that you can do what you do best and spend less time chasing that carrot. Let's get the professionals in to do what they do so we can do what we do.
Make sure that they know that their job that they do is too valuable to take them away from it to find people. The other thing is receptionists need to know what's going on, because I can't tell you how many times I have a candidate who texts me and says, hey, you sent me in here for an interview, and they don't even know Shelly Buck.
Yeah.
There's no Shelly Buck that works here. The receptionist needs to know that there's a campaign going on, and they need to know that I'm the person on it, so that when they say Shelly Buck sent me in, they know who they need to send them to. Because there's so many little things like that that a good candidate could be sent in, and you lose them over a technicality.
Right. Yeah, that happens all the time, and it happens with, like I say, with sales campaigns also, because the salespeople a lot of times will resent the fact that there's new salespeople coming in, and they'll send them away. They'll say,
So it's
well,
all communication.
Yeah.
Communication with us, communication with your dealership.
It really is. It's all about that. Well, Shelly, thank you so much for your time, and you know, I know she's my wife, folks, but I have to tell you, I live with her, and I've been in the car business for a long time. If she were working for you at your dealership, you would have not a better employee on your side, because she cares more than anybody I've ever seen. She likes to make sure that she succeeds. She is all about success and all about making people's lives better, and she's a great teammate to have at Automax. I know that everybody at Automax feels that way. So thank you so much, Shelly, for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for your insight. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
If you'd like to know any more about a technician campaign or a sales campaign, please don't hesitate to give me a call. You can call directly 513-443-2825, or you can contact me at Andy@myandybuck.com, or you can go straight to myandybuck.com for more information. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.